Good evening, everyone. This is Pradeep, Ambassador of Change from GETI, the Global Education and Training Institute from Lucknow. And right now, you are on our disruptive education platform provided to us by our mentor, Dr. Sunita Gandhi. And on this platform, we have met with and interacted with more than 1,600 educators from India and all over the world. And this evening, we have for you Ms. Swarleen Kaur. She is the founder of the Uttarakhand #1 personality school, the Talk Room. She is adept at molding personalities, core interpersonal and intrapersonal skills. She's an educationist with an experience of more than 18 years in training students in public speaking, communication, debates, at all. She is an education coordinator at BNI. She has given 500 plus seminars and sessions on personality and education, and she has mentored more than 100 plus students on essential soft skills like communication, image consultancy, critical thinking, etc. And she has featured in several magazines all over the world, including one in the US of A. And she has worked as an educator in various ICSC and CBSE schools. She understood where the gap lay, which was rendering students incapable of reacting and reaching their utmost potential. That is why she led her to envision an institution where she could bring forth self-assured individuals who are well versed with interpersonal as well as intrapersonal skills. She has many accolades to her name, and if I have missed out anything, I'm sure Swarleen will fill you in with that. And she will be speaking to us on the importance of public speaking. So, good evening, ma'am. Thank you for being with us, and over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much for such a warm welcome. And I'm really honored to be here today. Art of public speaking. By the way, what do I mean by public speaking? Is it that I go on the stage and have to deliver a formal kind of address that I've prepared? Or does it also mean that I have to talk to certain people standing in front of me who are a part and parcel of my life? Everyday communication. Does that come in public speaking? The question is generally asked, what does actually, literally, public speaking mean? Before I start, let me take you on a ride. Around 25 years back, there was a girl who shied away. Stage was like a phobia. And she thought if she could get on the stage, she would die the same moment. She was under the grip of glossophobia, what we call as fear of public speaking. Don't worry and don't be upset if you are one of them. General surveys have stated this, that death was one of the biggest fear that a human had. Now it is public speaking. Why? What is the basic reason that people have started to shy away from public speaking, whereas it is one of the biggest skill required for us to succeed? The answer lies, as per the surveys again, the fear of being judged. what you call in Hindi is सबसे बड़ा रोग क्या कहेंगे लोग. Well, my interpretation towards this is a little different. When I say the log lie in your same category. So before we start, today, let's do one exercise which will help us remove that fear of public speaking to some extent. 99% of the times, it's our mind that rules us. Do this, do that. It's always commanding. And it tells you to be afraid of judgments. So let's pick up all the burden. Everybody who's there listening to me, let's do this practically. Let's lift off this burden and boom, throw it away. And this burden was the fear that we were carrying, that we would be judged. I'm not a good speaker. Well, I'm not born as a speaker, which I'll be elaborating further in my session. Oh, I don't have those skills. I've never learned them. So for them, it is important to understand that public speaking is just a face-to-face interaction with the audience. How did we make it like a monster? Back in 1920s, when public speaking started in Greece, it started with a common man expressing his own views. Somebody from the royal family could hire a lawyer, but every common man was devoid of it. They could not afford it. So they started coming to the marketplaces, the common places, and started and made themselves as their own lawyers. Traditionally, it started with the rhetoric, with the art of persuasion, wherein they would persuade people to listen to them, they would have their say, and would politically talk about certain aspects which were to be taken into consideration. Gradually, people started to think that great speakers are not born. No. They are trained. So, this myth that some speakers were born great changed into a perspective they were better trained. And how do we do that training? Where do we think that little spark of public speaking lies within all of us? Be it an extrovert, an introvert, or an ambivert. It needs a lot of training. It needs a lot of right practice. It needs a lot of courage, which comes with 3 P's. When we practice and we practice a little more, and finally we are practicing. There's no shortcut. You've got to train yourself. And for this, practice is the mantra. With the help of, again, 2 P's, patience and perseverance. This training can help you turn into a great speaker. Why should I do public speaking? I mean, it's all right if I don't do it. Well, they always say network is your net worth. the more you form connections, the more you start leaving influence in the people by the way you speak, what you speak, where you speak, to whom you speak. Are you influencing the other person? Are you able to help them make their decisions? Alter theirs sometime? Are you able to motivate others? Which is not possible with the communication skills, which undoubtedly is the ability into the progressive world. It's important that we understand that in the coming up times, nearly everything, almost everything, is impossible if you do not have good communication skills. And public speaking is one of the most important, yet the most dreaded forms. Comes like a monster with the no-nos that we have in our head for a long time. But today, remember, whenever you feel that burden that I cannot do that public speaking, let's boom, throw it away. Because we are here to learn the step of getting into public speaking in the most easiest, simplified, yet influential manner. Why do we have had to do this public speaking? Let's imagine that you've started your own business and you want to shout out loud to people that, yay, this is my service that I'm giving you. Let's say it's a restaurant. And you want to shout it out loud that I have the best cuisines in the town. How do you think are you going to inform them? I get that. Now, you might have answers to it. I may get some brochures done, some nice advertisement done. But what if every cuisine has a story to tell? Thinking? Well, when you've got to inform somebody, public speaking is the best way to do that. If you want to persuade, to inspire, let's say I read that notice, so and so person needs a job urgently. I'll take a snapshot, come back home, put it in my certain groups. Oh, I read it somewhere in my institute. Somebody came to me, this person needs a job. But the same thing if I have to speak and I tell the other person, do you know what? This is the only earning person of the family. He needs this job direly. How can we help him? Could we do just something for him? Does that touch the core? Does that make us understand that actually the need of this person is much higher than I saw written on that plain paper? Undoubtedly, I'm not denying the importance of written communication styles. But to communicate my views in vocal, when I speak, leaves 3 impacts on me. How I delivered my content. Was my vocal delivery good enough to persuade somebody? What was the visual effect that the other person had? I'm going to speak it ahead of this when I go in my session in detail. To educate. It's important to use public speaking for educating somebody. Your teachers do their public speaking every time. So, whenever we are informing, we've got opportunities, some new developments, some new announcements, some new marketing opportunities. We're informing people with our skills. This is one of my favorite things to say. I strongly believe every heart has a story. And similarly, every product has its own story. Tale telling, storytelling is what sells. Why do I strongly believe in this system of tale of persuasion? When I tell you a story, it comes from a trusted source. If you remember, many of our stories, which our grandmas used to tell, which our moms used to tell, the bedtime stories, the sweet Enid Blyton novels, when we read them, there was internal acceptance, very clear on the logic. And when we speak them out, it has that emotional connect. So when you tell a tale, when you weave a story, remember, it goes directly into the heart. It will have its own plot, starting maybe with a conflict, rising to the center or the focal point where there's a lot of conflicts happening, and then falling down to the solutions. Storytelling is an art, a form of public speaking, and thus persuasion, because it emotionally connects with you. I strongly believe your content is the king of your speech. Your delivery, how you deliver your speech, your talk, is the queen of your speech. Where does that soul lie, which adds life to this body? Is the connect. That connect that you form when you tell a story. That's how you persuade. That becomes more persuasive. When you communicate with others, we often focus on what we should say. Sometimes it's more about talking and equally about active listening. Not just understanding the words, but also understanding the emotions that the speaker conveys to its audience. Public speaking is now becoming an integral part of the academic, schools, colleges, universities, because that's the basic. That's where the fears go off if we start right at the basic years. The crippling fear that causes students to resist the efforts to integrate speaking to their peers now become a part of their curriculums. That's the importance of public speaking. Yet, whenever I go on the stage, I have those butterflies. Let me tell you an incident. Somewhere in grade 1 or 2, the teacher comes to the class and asks, who's interested to go for a poem telling competition, poem recitation? I quickly raise my hand. All set, 15 days practices, my mother making me practice, my teachers making me practice. Yet, on the D day, somewhere my confidence, it just vanished like a bubble. It was covered by the mist of fears, of unknown happenings to me. You talk of butterflies. I think I had all the rats and the cats, and I don't know what and what not in my stomach. And with that fear, when I stepped on the stage, I realized there was one thing that had gone wrong. And that one thing was I had let fear overtake my confidence. And by the time I had realized this, I'd lost it. So instead of saying, respected principal ma'am, members of the staff, and dear friends, I said, dear principal and respected students. And there was a huge laughter. I still have those faint memories. And I felt that this earth would just give me space and I would get buried into it. And I somewhere told myself, this is the last time. I will never come back on the stage with broken heart. I'd almost forgotten my poem. Forget about narrating it. I'd almost forgotten it, which I had practiced I don't know how many hundreds of times in these days. Look at the art of nervousness, how it makes you feel that you are numb and of no use. Well, I got down from the stage with tears in my eyes, and I knew somewhere in my heart what will happen when I reach my class. Quite expected, right? When I went back and I was stepping in the class, I again feared that panic gripped me because I had to face the public, my classmates, my teacher. I was just feeling like, shutting down my ears with my hands and thought, it's not going to work anymore. And I'm going to be humiliated and insulted. But on the contrary, I did it. How? My teacher asked my classmates to stand up and clap for me, which was quite unusual for me to believe. I thought, are they ridiculing me? But no. She said at least she had those guts to come up and speak. And there's always a next time, Swarleen, that's fine. And she gifted me a little chocolate. And I went back on my seat, almost getting back into my consciousness where I had no numbness. And I found my friends smiling at me and showing me thumbs up. That's the power of what emotional connect does to you. Motivation does to you in public speaking. Well, I did go on the stage again. Second time when I went, I was much more composed. Yet, I lost it on the stage. Thinking, now it's not happening. But my teacher gave me another chance. This hat trick, I had to prove myself. It's now or never. And yes, this time I failed again miserably. I called it a day, thought of shutting down on the biggest passion that I had of speaking on the stage. Yet, something was still burning. If I could just get another chance. And trust me, when you ask from the universe, the whole universe conspires to give it back to you. When the fourth time I was on the stage, I rocked it. That's where I was talking about the mantras that I was giving you. Practice, practice, and practice. Don't feel demotivated. It's all right. No road, yes, no road is traveled without the speed breakers and pitfalls. It's fine. It's all right to sometimes fail. It's all right to spring back again after the massive failures you must have seen. So you've got to get rid of this public speaking fear. Practice it aloud. Practice it on your own. We are living in this, smart age, the digital era, where we don't need to take anybody's help if we don't want. Switch on your video, switch on your mobiles, make a video for yourself. Look at your expressions. You know where you went wrong, right? You are your biggest critic. Tell your mistakes to yourself. Trust a good friend or family members who could give you the right advice. And gradually, you see this fear of public speaking going away. When I was talking about content is my king, yet if I look into Mehrabian's theory, which is a worldwide famous theory, and n number of 99.9% of public speakers agree with this theory. 7% is the words that we speak, the content, which I call king. But that 7% is an integral part of 100, right? 38% is my vocal, my voice, my rising of the pitch, my intonations, my pauses, my rate of speech, my pitch of speech is 38%. Imagine you get a phone call. Hello, who's that? A little assertiveness. Or maybe you get a phone call. Hello, may I talk to? Quite passive. You cannot see anybody on the phone call. How do you get it? Is the vocal transmission. The 38% weight that vocal carries. And 55% is the visual. Your body language, your gestures, your facial expressions, your body language, the postures that you carry. And it's important that you make effective use of this pie chart. A little smile when you're speaking may add glory, may add charm, may add dignity to what you're saying, may add a little more leverage, may make you look more authentic. But I cannot let the content go. Though 7%, it still is the king, which rules the entire portion of 93%. If I don't have my subject, if I don't know what to speak, I'm sure to fumble. And that's where we start using a lot of fillers. Oh yeah, yeah, like, yeah. And we fail in our eye contact. But when we follow this theme, these numbers, it really gives boost to the morale. We've certainly been hearing about, there are certain do's and don'ts. So if 7% is the content, do I not look into the content well? Or is it the voice that I'm going, what will matter the most? Or should I be doing an eye contact? How do I go about it? Well, when you are doing public speaking, first thing is come prepared with your content. And that's why I say it is the king. You don't have your content, you lose that grip. But in some cases, it's not about just talking what you prepared. Maybe your audience doesn't need it. I remember I was giving my keynote in one of the most reputed colleges of the country, wherein I had well prepared my topic on stress management, and I'd started to deliver. 10 minutes later, I saw people fidgeting. Now, my content was absolutely up to the mark. Where was I going wrong? Immediately, what was in my script, I just made some changes to it on the spot, made it more interactive rather than the lecture mode, did some question answers with the students around, listened to their stories, gave mine to them. In a few minutes, everybody came back. So, in the break time, I requested the principal. I said, is that fine? I do not want to go in for a lecture mode. Let's make it the way it is going, quite interactive, and people are happy about it. She said, yeah, I saw that. You've got to be flexible. You can make changes. Since I started, I've been talking about, yes, content is the king, delivery is the queen, connect with the audience is the soul. Now, my question is, if content is the king and delivery is the queen, what are they going to rule on if they don't have anybody to hear them? Question to be thought. So it's important that you are connected with your audience. You engage with your audience. Your audience is there to listen to you. You are the spark there. Intermingle with them. Remember your content. Don't get rigid with it. You cannot be thinking, that's what I've written. I cannot go beyond that. No. You are the master of your script. Nobody knows what's written in your script. Make sure that you can utilize it to the best of the efforts. A human being is a visual animal. As they say, a good storyteller will never tell you a story. He will always make you visualize that story. And that's why it is important that you bring on some presentations, some videos to make your audience engaged, interactive. Because visuals have their own impact. You may not remember in the 1 hour speech or a 20 minutes talk or a 15 minutes talk line by line, word to word, what the speaker said. But then there will be certain points, maybe through visuals or the gestures or the facial expressions or the eye contact that the speaker made. There's no hurry. There's no hurry in the world because we all know slow and steady wins the race. When you think that speaking a little faster could cover up a lot of points, could do justice to what you're speaking, on the other hand, it may also denote your lack of confidence, as if you're in some race to finish off what you wanted to talk. Enjoy every bit of your talk. Just immerse yourself. Imagine yourself in the situations, in the character, in the conditioning you are being put into. Nourish yourself well. Just be there at the moment. Be mindful. Live that moment as a speaker. You've got this opportunity. Make the most of it. Be relaxed. Smile often. I remember a leader. There's a poem between like a leader and a boss. So who's the leader and who's the boss? So boss will always be in his authority, whereas the leader will be in his authority, but also approachable. Are you that approachable? Are you allowing the audience to seep in what you're telling them? Are you allowing them to breathe? And if not, they may not take you seriously, or maybe they may not be that happy with the kind of talk you are giving. And for a moment, close down, halt on what you're speaking, and take a deep breath. Are we all here? Yes. It relaxes you. Take that breathe in such a way. Maybe when you're questioning the audience and they're giving the answer. Maybe when you are expecting their reactions. Maybe when you've given them a silent pause. Maybe when they expect you to break in the surprise or that moment that they want you to disclose with them. It will quickly connect you. It will quickly make the people will think like, oh, she's so approachable. He's so approachable. I have a lot of queries for this person. I think I can get this is a serious business happening. Let me concentrate. For every speaker, the initial 30 to 40 seconds, are very crucial. That's where you get to understand, is this my day? You create a lot of hooks. You start with a storytelling, you start with a rhetorical question, or you start with what if, or you start with imagine, or you start with a quote, any way you like. But the deepest of the deep thing is, could you get to the core of your audience? And if you have, with the kind of talk you've started from the core, we never speak from our throat. A good speaker never speaks from the throat. Starts with the core. It's just right below your chest, your diaphragm. And it relaxes the entire phenomenal environment it creates. And you've got them. And now talk. It's important that you give them what they expect. An audience will always come with the perspective, what is in it for me? Vifim, what is in it for me? Why should I go and hear the speaker? And when you've captivated their cores, when you've got straight into their hearts, when you've got straight A's from them, you've made it. You've nailed it. The arrow has hit right in the middle of the dart. And you know that's what you'd come here for. There are certain aspects which we've been doing since long, but we've got to remove these shackles. I still remember a student who came to me so well versed in his vocabulary, in his talk, everything seemed perfect. Yet, something was there which was not happening. He had rehearsed too much, learned too much, and it all of a sudden started to become a little mechanical, which was not expected, which was not people were there. A lot of students, they do this. They just do that rote learning, and they'll go to the stage without any expressions, without any gestures. They just want to hurriedly speak, come back, and sit. This way, you ignore your audience. They did not actually find interest. What did you speak? Like other 10 speakers, you came and you spoke and you went. What was there in it for them? Why did they want to hear you? Did you touch their chords? Please don't ignore your audience. Don't be in any rush and just leave. It's just like you disrespecting them. Don't do that. Connect with them. Talk to them. Whenever you think that you've got something to tell to your audience, just go ahead. Talk. It's not always a power posture that you keep standing in when you're delivering your talk. No. It's about movement on the stage. It's about getting closer to your audience. It's about the eye contact that you're making with them. When you do all this, they feel that they are wanted. They feel that they are respected. They feel that they've come for you. Never let your audience sleep. Never let your audience fidget. Hold the reins. You are the commander. Don't lie about the facts just because you've got to speak. Never do that. Present what you know in the best of your authentic ways. Build your credibility as a speaker. Never lie. I still remember there was a trainee, and in her first session, she was asked a lot of questions. She knew the answers pretty well, but because of the bombardment of the questions, she felt as if she'd lost. She got afraid. How will I answer them? Will they laugh at me? Will they mock me? Are they ridiculing me? Are they actually asking me these questions? Don't be afraid. When you know it, say it. As I said, take a deep breath. Tell yourself, you know it, that's why you're here. Everybody else is like me. If I know even a bit extra, I'm going to give them. It's about the way how you answer them. It's about how mindful you are, how tactful you are to handle these queries. There was an interview where this person, the interviewee, tells the interviewer that, I have worked in this firm for last 3 years. By chance, the manager of that previous firm of the interview happened to be a good friend of the interviewer. So he calls him and asks him, "Hey, I've got this person from your organization, and he says that he's been working for 3 years with you." He said, "Yeah, you're right. He was there with me for 3 years, but he worked 3 days." Now, what does that mean? In all these 3 years, he could not build that authenticity, credibility that he was a hardworking person, or even he did not work up to the mark, or he did not feel like working. You cut. It's a mode of public speaking, of course, interview. Don't lie. It's important to say the truth, to say the facts, to say what you know, rather than going apart from what you don't know, or saying what is not required, or going haywire. Not required at all. Our lack of our content, of not knowing what to speak, it affects us. It shakes our confidence. It downtrodden our self-esteem. It helps fear to take its grip over us. If you do not know the content well, it's better not to speak about it. Listening and speaking, they always go hand in hand. If you've not listened good, you won't be able to speak good. So it's important that you become an active listener. We've often seen speakers falling short of words, wherein they use a lot of fillers, as I was saying. So yeah, all right. We do that because we lack words. We lack the proper use of vocabulary. And what grips us is anxiety. Meanwhile, the other person wants to be absorbed in what you're talking. You're already anxious about, oh, what did I say in the last line? Because you were not prepared. You're not practiced well, which led to that anxiety. It's always said that, strong and quick learners that dominate the class. It goes the same with speakers. If you are a quick learner, now that does not mean passive learners do not do public speaking. But then it's important to be an active listener where you quickly understand what is this concept all about. If you're not oriented, that lack of orientation will certainly affect your speaking skills. And it's important for you as a person to take care of what you're going to speak, how you're going to deliver, where are you going to deliver, who is your audience, why have you been chosen to speak. Maximum utilization of your potential happens when you chew your words, digest them, understand what you're going to put in the platter in front of your audience is what's going to help you. Because public speaking is one of the most important and sought after skills in today's world and will be there in tomorrow's world as well. Is when you do public speaking, you show you have knowledge. You demonstrate your knowledge. Not only you imparting knowledge, it helps you increase your knowledge because the kind of inputs that you receive, the kind of questions that you've received. Please, that makes me remind of telling you one more thing. If you do not know the answer to the question, pardon yourself rather than giving a wrong answer. You may not know everything, it's all right. Perfectionism is a myth. Do not fear because of the judgment. No, it's all right. You are human, and a human to err is human. So don't even get into that trap. They always say that your first impression is the last impression, and it takes just 30 to 60, maximum 45 to 60 seconds to create that first impression. A smile can impress somebody. Your body language can impress somebody. The way you dress up when you go for speaking assignment can impress anybody. Speaking creates the whole persona because it involves your vocals, your visuals, and your content. And that's where your personality is built, which sharpens the confidence inside you and exhibits it outside more clearly. You differentiate yourself in the workplace. We all are unique beings. We all have our uniquenesses. Have you found out yours? Depends on you. You get more opportunities. You become more successful because people will remember what you said. And if they remember what you said, you've done your work nicely. Remember, public speaking helps improve the overall personality of the person. And how do I improve on it? As I said in my session, it's all right to be nervous. It's normal. The butterflies are bound to come. Let them. You just practice and practice and practice. Come prepared. It's good to go back for a feedback. Look into the eyes of your audience and you get a direct feedback. Let your personality come through. Who you are will come through when you're speaking. Use humor, you tell a lot of stories, effective use of vocabulary must be done. Don't read. You're the masters of your script. You may use some PPTs, use your voice, use your hands, omit those nervous gestures. Make audience connected with you in the first 3 to 5, 30 seconds. First 30 seconds are very crucial, as I said. Let them grab that attention. Close with a power. Connect with your audience all throughout. And remember, you're not speaking because you wanted to speak. You spoke because they wanted you to speak. Be organized. Be in a chronological manner. We've all been doing this in our, sessions. So I hope with this, you definitely become a greater speaker, the best speaker, and remove all the hesitations and hitch that you have. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for that talk on the importance of public speaking. I think you covered every aspect of it. And right from the time when you're absolutely frightened to the time that you can deliver with proper inputs. And not only that, ma'am, there are examples of how generals all over the world could go and finish off armies, but when it came to public speaking, they used to shiver. And uh, so the importance of public speaking has never been more felt than now, and it is also part of our process of democracy and something which we have to go into. So thank you, ma'am, for this, and good evening, everybody. And before we leave, I request you to watch our detox. And for more information on this, please go to 7408401000. Good evening, everybody. Good night, and see you again tomorrow. Thank you, ma'am, so much for your talk today.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It was a pleasure giving the talk.